JJ Jinx, Truck Stop Knives. So, a few months back, I did a BudK unboxing, and of course, in the box was one of the BudK catalogs. And I got a message from someone living in Scotland. Said, "Hey, we don't get BudK over here. I'm kind of curious what's in that catalog." And so I made a really long video where I went through the entire thing, and it was really fun and interesting. So it's been a while. The BudK catalog should have some new stuff in it, and so I saved this catalog. I haven't looked in it. It's the summer edition, so I'm going to do a bunch of videos where we go through catalogs. BudK will be one of them. In addition, I have here with me a Smokey Mountain Knifeworks catalog. We'll go through that. In addition, and I've never gotten one of these before. This is a things you never knew existed catalog. I don't know why I got it, but we'll have a look. And finally, some kind of military surplus catalog. I've never gotten one of these before. I think I got one of the things you never knew existed one before, but well, it's the Sportsman Guide to Military Surplus Tactical and Survival Gear, whatever. We'll go through it, and it's gonna be a lot of videos, and I'll probably have to chop them up, but I hope you enjoy. Smokey Mountain Knifeworks. So this place sells a lot of, they're basically a reseller. They do a lot of case. You'll see Schrade, Smith & Wesson, Gerber. Anyway, I hope this one might go a little quicker because a lot of it is just the same stuff over and over again, just like a different appearance. But this is a pretty neat place. I wouldn't buy a high-end knife from them. I think for a higher-end knife, I would prefer Blade HQ, which has a great website. If you want to learn more about knives and their different configurations, they have a whole section going over all of that. So right on the front cover, we got the Smoky Mountain Knifeworks logo, which I think is pretty cool. This is a 130th anniversary case trapper and Zippo that they're selling. You can see the case knives are going to be a little more expensive. I mean, not too terrible if you just want like a really, really good knife in this configuration. Case knives hold their value, so what you pay for it, you could resell it for, depending on the condition, possibly even more money. It depends on the scarcity of what they make. Sometimes they artificially inflate the value by saying like, oh, we're only going to make 500 of these, and you'll see stuff like that as we go. So if you are a huge fan of case and you want their 130th anniversary knife, here it is. Opening the front cover, we have an extended thing, but here you can see some case knives already. These are just kind of random. What are they? These have like names based on the scales. So these are called the Bearhead Peanuts. So this style of handle where it's rounded on one end and, well, both ends really, and an oblong shape, that's called a peanut style knife. And here you see you got 3 blades, 1 blade, 2 blades, whatever. Price goes up as the number of blades goes up. This is I believe a canoe knife, because you got this raised part of the bolster here. Kind of looks like a canoe. Is that? Yeah, here we go. Dual spear canoes. And so you have yellow synthetic, that's just plastic. Peacock Appaloosa. This is beautiful bluish green color, and this looks like just some kind of a jigged bone. The bone that they use for a lot of case knives actually comes from cows. They get these pieces of cow bone and they tumble them in a vat of dye, and that's how they get the coloration. This has another flap here that I kind of alluded to. So these are different configurations of what are these called? Emerald green bone with worked bolsters. So the bolsters have this patterning. Here you have your trapper. This is just a simple lockback. Over here, they call this a tribal lock. It's just a big lockback. I don't know why you call it tribal lock. They chose to name it that. Here's your Texas toothpick. Oh, they got a Barlow and a Stockman. So that the way the handle kind of curves a little bit, that's typical of a Stockman, and you usually have at least 2, if not up to like 4 or 5 blades. Usually when you have a lot of blades, it's called a Congress, and the handle's a little different. The idea being that back in the old days, 130 years ago, I guess, you used knives for different purposes. So this was your pen knife, which you use for sharpening quills. This is a sheep's foot knife, and then this is your clip point. They all have different uses. Also, if you break one, you've got more. So first page in, this is just a page about the history of the company, I guess, or some statement about the anniversary. I don't really care that much. Here's a D-Day commemorative thing. They do a lot of commemorative knives. More case, these are American flag, they call it the Star Spangled Pocket Knives. Here you can see more configurations. This, they call it trapper lock, which I haven't seen before, but well, one thing that makes it very different is it comes with a clip, and these old school pocket knives usually do not. But this has the handle of a trapper, but it's a single blade, and it appears to be a lock. No, it's liner lock, and it's assisted opening. That's interesting. Yeah, so Case usually don't make knives with assisted opening, but they're starting to get into it, and that's $150 for all that extra stuff. This one's called a rust lock, named after Case, the founder's son, who tragically died. I have one of these, not with the American flag, but it's pretty neat. It's basically a one-handed opening mechanism. It's a little tricky. Trapper, a folding hunter. That's just kind of a different shaped folding knife. Here's a, oh, okay, so this one's a mini trapper, full-size trapper. Now this handle shape, it looks similar to the Stockman, but it's a little bit smaller, and they call that a sow belly. Sow belly, rather. Here's your canoe and a medium Stockman. So you can see the difference in the curvature. Subtle differences, but anyway. Blue jigged bone pocket knives. And here's a medium Stockman. Mini trapper. Medium Stockman with rounded bolsters. Full-size trapper. A peanut, like we saw before. Oh, they made a Barlow out of this one. So I actually have a couple of knives. I have this one, the small Texas toothpick. I also have a rust lock version of this. So what some people do is they'll buy all of the one type, one full collection, and it looks really nice in a display case. And here's a small Stockman. That handle almost looks like a doctor's knife, actually. A half whittler. I'm not familiar with a whittler. So that's what makes case knives collectible for a lot of people. If you're willing to spend the money, you have a lot of different configurations. Pick a color or a type of handle that you like and buy those. And it's kind of, that's why I was thinking this knife or this catalog might go faster, because you're going to see a lot of the same stuff over and over again, just with different handle materials. And then you got more of that Peacock Appaloosa in Barlow configurations, stag bone, another tribal lock with the clip, not open assisted apparently. These are brown bone knives, another Barlow. So lots of case knives, more case knives. These are some of the kind of custom commemorative stuff. Here's like, if you're into Ford, you can get a Ford knife. Saw cut jigged blue bone. So this is just blue bone, bone that's colored blue, cut in a different way. Another Ford knife. These are like sparkly blue. They call it Curanite. And then over on this side, even more case knives. This is John Wayne commemorative stuff. So you can see you get these nice box sets. These make really great gifts for people too. And they're not that expensive in the, grand scheme of things. They last forever. And like I said, they hold their value. These are Harley Davidson collectibles of different types. I'm not going to go through like what type of knives they are, because it'll just be the same thing over and over again. And unless I see something new and different. And this one's different. This is called a cheetah. Now there's this metal piece here that when the blade opens, it swings out and kind of becomes a guard. I'd like to get one someday. That's pretty cool. And there's a full-size sow belly, so I guess that's because kind of curved, almost like a saddle. Okay, now these are not case knives. This is Harley Davidson stuff by a brand called TechX that I've never heard of. Here's a ripoff of a Kershaw Shuffle. And then you just get these generic liner lock or lockbacks. Maybe this one is reminiscent of the CRKT Squid, but different enough. So yeah, Harley Davidson stuff. Over here, we are going to case again. These are called pocket worn, so I guess they're made to look aged. I don't know. So you can get all of these. Now here's one that's we haven't seen yet. This is a Sod Buster. I like these. I have a few Kissing Crane ones. They're pretty neat. Anything new on here? No, you just got the normal configurations. Over here, now this is something different. These are wooden knives that you get a kit and you put it together yourself. I have one of these, but it's a Spyderco Dragonfly, and they're pretty cool. They're cheap. You can get these for $12 a piece, or you get the whole thing for $110. So that would be kind of neat to go in a display case. $110 for like each of the classic configurations. Yeah. And then what do we got up here? A Zac Brown Band, My Old Man Trapper. Okay. And then a Case Family Series Grandpa Trapper. Whatever. A little something for everybody. Now here's their yellow Delrin. So these are made of Delrin, which is kind of like Teflon, but a little more acid resistance and a little more brittle and tougher, a little less slippery. Well, that's interesting. This is a mid-folding hunter. I haven't seen that before. And here are the amber bone. They've been making these for like a century. This one I featured on another video. This is the hobo knife, where it comes apart into 3 pieces: fork, knife, spoon. I've got one of these made by Kissing Crane and one by Ozark Trail. More case knives. So these are Bone Stag. Yeah, just more of the same. Pick an animal that you like, and they'll make it out of their bones. Here are some cases for things like traveling cases, display cases, case paste. What's case paste? Okay, it's for polishing. And here you have some various sheaths that are actually pretty well priced. They are made by Case. They are well made. I don't have one, but I've handled them in one of their outlet stores, and for like less than $10, you can get one of these. It's actually a really nice deal because it's actually good quality leather. Here's a neat little display box with an illuminated dome. That's cool. Wooden sign if you want that in your basement. Magnetic display stands, hats, license plates. Okay. Can't really do that where I live because you have to have the plates on both sides of the car. Zippos. Let's keep going. This is going fast. I like that. All right. We're finally out of the case zone for a little while. We'll get back to it, I'm sure. These are... Who makes these? Bare Edge. These all go for like between $30 and $50. And it's pretty much what you see. You get all these clip point blades. This one's a Tanto. I kind of like the look of this one. Oh, it's a frame lock, so that's different. Not open assisted, but these two are, and this one. And then down here you have Bare Edge stainless steel knives, so all stainless look. You get these little, I guess, keychain knives. Anyway, over here we have some Valley Song knives, and also by, well, not Bare Edge, this is Bear and Son. So Bear and Son, I don't really have any knives from them, and I haven't really heard of them outside of this catalog, but their stuff is expensive, so I'm guessing it's good. Here we have like a Spyderco reminiscent hole on this one. I'm not really into butterfly knives, except for the bottle opener I have. That's pretty cool. But these look like since there's so much money, they'll probably be decent quality. Swing guard, that's what these are called. So this is Bear & Sons version of that metal piece that moves to become a guard. It's called a swing guard. And black Delrin lightweights. So I guess these are lightweight lockbacks, it looks like, except for the Trapper, which is a slip joint. Over here, this looks like Schrade. No, I'm sorry, BudK, rather. These are your classic, I think that's the 110 Hunter, the 112 Ranger. They're starting to make them in different configurations. So these are 110 Hunters that are, well, actually these are Rangers. You know the difference because it's basically the same knife, but the Ranger has a slightly shorter blade. I have this knife. Well, not exactly. This one's got grooves in the handle. Mine's just flat like this one. Anyway, they ain't cheap. They're going to be like between $50 and $100. You can get a much better price from other places besides going straight to BudK. And then these are the fixed blade classics. This is the 102 Woodsman, 105 Pathfinder, and the 120 General. And you can get them in different handle materials. I really like the cherry red with the brass. I like that look. I have this knife. This is the Quick Fire. They've been selling it for a while. It's just a generic open assisted pocket knife. I carried this for like 3 years. I still have it. I could do a whole video on this knife, but it's really not that good. It's got a bantam blade, so it's like, you know, it's okay. Over here we have they've been starting to make the 110, 112 models in what they call slim line or slim pro. So these are basically with synthetic handles that are very thin. And here you have like the even cheaper ones. So yeah, $30 or less. You get them with basically plastic handles. I've been tempted to get one, but then I'm like, well, I already have the one that's made of wood and brass. I don't know. I kind of like the clip they put on it though. So that's I guess the other difference is that these come with clips, and they are the low ride variety. And then here's a BudK limited production. So this is artificially inflated in value. BudK is starting to make these types of knives, I guess. And you got your Stockman, Canoe, Toothpick, and Trapper in some kind of a what they call glacier blue color. It's a nice color. I like it. Moving on, these are some Gerber knives. I have read up on Gerber since I made the video on the Bear Grylls survival knife, and I think the consensus in the community is that, yeah, they were good, and now they're not. Still expensive, though. Here's a neat, they call it a flat iron frame lock. It's like a straight razor type of thing. A couple machetes. Here's a closeout sale. Ooh, that's good, because I actually wanted to get one of these, the Gerber remix, because of this hole here. It kind of looks a little bit like the knife from the game Subnautica because of that hole, and I figured if I wanted to recreate the knife from Subnautica, this would be a good starting point. You would just have to reshape the blade and the handle, and then I thought about how much work that would be and how I have no idea how to do any of that, so I didn't. This is one of those cheap frame lock, or not frame locks, well, I think it is a frame lock actually. I have this thing. It sucks. It's really bad. But I guess this is a combo with a multi-tool, an airlift combo. What is? Because it comes with a clip, money clip. Yeah, pretty generic looking. And here's a neat looking multi-tool. Oh, this is the package that I got recently. I actually put this tool, got it right here, on my keychain. It's the Shard, and I actually get a lot of use out of it because of it's like a pry bar, and I use that a lot at work. I've actually gotten quite a bit of use out of this, and I actually liked it so much that it's made it onto my keychain, which I don't really like having a lot of stuff on my keychain, but this made it. As you can see, I keep a spare ferrule with me at all times. Anyway. Oh, and you can get a black Shard. That's cool, and they're pretty cheap, $4. I wouldn't recommend this knife sucks. Anyway. Okay. Oh, here we go with Moranov. I am a big fan of Moraniv rather knives. They're very simple. I've talked about these a lot in previous videos, and I actually have one of these. I have the companion. I have this one, but it's orange blade handled. So they have all these different kinds. These are actually relatively cheap. These are the most expensive ones, like $80, $90. But I've read a lot of great things about the companion heavy duty. It's made with a very good steel. And people who have reviewed them online were very happy with it. But it's a lot of money. I mean, $25, I guess, for a Moraniv knife, for a fishing knife, a flaying knife. It's quite a lot. And then you have these other ones. They're just different shapes. And they're cheap. I love them. These knives are kind of neat. I've seen these before. These are made by a company called Hella or Heel or Hell. I don't know. I really like the handles on these, but they're really expensive. I love this like polished. I don't even know what this would be. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really. Scandinavian style sheath. Okay. Well, anyway, they're pretty to look at, but too expensive for my budget. Oh well. Anyway, next we have Essie Imlay rescue knife, $70. I've heard of Essie before. That sounds like a lot of money for this. I wouldn't recommend it. We got some Kershaw knives. Kershaw makes a whole lot of knives. If you go to their website and just browse around, they make a crap ton of stuff. This one's pretty cool. I like the stubby look with the ring. And over here we have Martini knives, which are basically a Moraniv competitor, I guess. They make kind of the same style knives. And here they are. They're a little more expensive. This company has been around for quite a while. I don't have any of their knives, but they're Finnish, whereas Moraniv are Swedish. Down here we have a couple of random things. This is a Rough Rider class of 2019 Trapper. Rough Rider is a very budget brand, but they make okay stuff. And here is a handmade doctor's knife. I like doctor's knives a lot. Ooh, is that Damascus? For $25. It says it is, and it's got file working. That's nice. Over here we have more Schrade. This is some of their old timers stuff. It's just kind of like a line that they do. It's got I got one of these knives. It's basically like a rough cut polymer. Here's some knives with some brass inlays. And back from the past. So one of the things that knife companies do, Case is notorious for this, is like I said, they'll do this artificial inflation where they say we're only going to make a certain number of these, or they will do what's called, we'll probably see it later, I think, they'll do what's called like putting it back in the safe or taking it out of the safe, meaning like we've retired this pattern and now we're bringing it back, and it's like get yours now, and it's like just artificial inflation of the value. Camp saw and some other random stuff. Some closeout frame locks here. $8, not bad. So, I mean, when you look at prices like this and you think about companies like Frost Cutlery, it really goes to show how much more shit Frost Cutlery knives are. These are the Uncle Henry series from Schrade. Just kind of more primitive looking. So made from either bone or plastic and jigged to give it some grip. Next, we have old-timer assisted opening knives. So BudK has come out with a 110 and 112 open assisted version, which you could, up until now, you could actually have that done for you. You send your knife off to this place, they make it into an open assisted mechanism, they charge you however much they charge you. And they get mixed reviews because it's done like in some dude's garage, I guess. But now BudK has officially come out with one and charges way too much money for it, but you can get it from Blade HQ for like a couple $100 or something like that. It's still quite a lot of money. So I guess Old Timer is now getting into that game, but these are not bad. 30 bucks. Okay. Some fixed blades, some more of these generic. Oh, I have one of these, not this one, the Hawk Bill. And here's a scout knife. That's a very old style. And then just some other random ones. Over here you have the Imperial Schrade. So these are Schrade knives that they make into the classic configurations. You got your sod buster, or I guess sometimes they're called a farmer's knife. And here's a Congress blade. A cigar whittler. I'm not too familiar with that one. So all the shapes that you want. These just look like a random assortment, but they're $7 each. So, you know, compared with Case, it's way cheaper. And down here you have $6 knives. You got a really shitty looking Barlow. I think I might have this. It's really, really bad. You got some fake abalone knives. Moving on, we have, Benchmark. Not to be confused with Benchmade. Benchmark is a lot less expensive than Benchmade. These knives look, I mean, this is just kind of a random assortment. This blade looks kind of funky. That looks a lot like the CRKT squid. And it's $6. Alright, moving on to the next page. Marbles. So Marbles is another brand that's been around